hear me? He's not saying a word. He needs plausible deniability. It could have been someone else in a mask.
This is all artificial intelligence. It's a whiz,
AI.
Ozzy. It's a what have you. It's a woozy. It's a Ozzy. It's a. Remember that from Wolf of Wall Street?
Yeah. It's a woozy. It's a wazzy.
Oh, that's one of my favorite scenes in a movie.
Oh my God.
And
that's Matthew McConaughey, I believe.
Yeah, doing bumps in a fancy restaurant.
Dude, back in the day, you could walk into a club this is stories that I've heard. I've never partaken in it. Walking into a club, a bar, depending on where it was at, depending on your status, no one was going to fuck with you. You do a couple of rails, you're buying drinks, you're buying food, no one gives a shit.
And we're up to 26 viewers. You know, before I forget my purpose here, you know, obviously I'm not here on good faith. I'm here for evil reasons. Because I am Father, the root of all evil. And I have risen from the fire. And 66 minutes after 5 o'clock, I declare Easter Sunday to be over. 6:06 and 66 seconds. What would that be in your Roman calendar? Pagans.
The mark of the beast.
Right. Everybody should go to YouTube and play Mötley Crüe in the beginning and pick the version that goes straight into Shout at the Devil. What do they call that when two songs are? I know with 3 songs it's called a trilogy. I don't know what it's called with 2 songs. But too many people listen to Shout at the Devil without listening to In the Beginning first. And if you ever owned Shout at the Devil on cassette, not CD, I own the cassette. If you own Shout at the Devil on cassette, you knew. You didn't start out with Shout at the Devil. You listen to In the Beginning first. I'm embarrassed I don't know all the words. I've tried to memorize them, but my brain just doesn't work that way. But at 66 minutes and I can't even say it right, but 6:06 and 66 seconds, everyone should hit YouTube at the exact same time.
Stop. Sorry. Stop. I'm getting ready.
You know, one thing that really pisses me off is I've learned more about Holy Week in maybe the past 2 years than I knew my whole life. One thing that pisses me off is the term Good Friday. Like when someone says Happy Good Friday, I really want to fucking punch them in the fucking face. Because all week, it's been bothering me about the torture that the Romans gave Christ on Good Friday. It's not a good day. Now, while we're on that subject, I'd like to offer a little bit of my opinion of history. I have a different perspective on that. The purpose of the crucifixion is torture, right?
Father, yes, Father, forgive me. The live is official. We have sirens. live is official. We have Simon. So now let's get back to the crucifixion.
Okay. The purpose of crucifixion is torture. So the longer someone stays alive on the cross, the better of a job you did if you're a torturer or whatever they call those people, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't have your cake and eat it too. They talk about the beating that Jesus took with the whipping and the describing of the cat o' nine tails, how there were bone chips to rip flesh and pieces of lead on the end of the leather to break bones. And it was supposed to be, you know, the worst beating in the history of mankind. And, you know, the pictures we see, you know, that are supposed to be true, Jesus literally has an open wound on every inch of his body from those whips. Now, no one, a beating like that is going to kill a person. So I don't know which side to believe, because if they were going to crucify a person to torture him, they would never weaken him that much, because they would want him to be somewhat healthy up on the cross so that his suffering would be longer. And the beating that Jesus allegedly took on Good Friday, there's absolutely no way he would have been able to carry his cross. And he wouldn't have survived a New York minute once they pounded those nails through his hands and his feet.
Yeah.
So
no, you're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And there's hints here and there when allegedly when he's carrying that cross across town, he can't carry it. Someone, I believe, carried it for him the rest of the way.
Yeah.
So that could have been at the very beginning when he's trying to. He can't carry it. He can't physically do it. Maybe he's got one arm fucking working. Maybe one leg. He can't do it. That person probably carried it all the way, for all we know.
Right. I think because I think maybe the story got embellished over the years. I'm not saying it's a lie or it's untrue, but I think the story just doesn't add up to me, because no one could have done what he did, and everyone's going to say, well, that's why he was the Son of God and this and that. Well, bullshit. God put him in human flesh. He didn't have superhuman strength.
All he had was what was between his ears. That's all God gave him. That's it.
Yeah, I just think something's got to give. They either nailed a dead man up on the cross, or the beatings weren't as extreme as what we thought they were.
There's a good chance that the beatings weren't as bad as we thought it was, because here's the thing historically about Jesus, and this gets all the Bible thumpers uncomfortable. When you go back to your Bible and you start reading out the chain of events to yourself, you will notice one thing. You will notice that he gets arrested. And I'm talking about a King James version that was published, you know, like, let's say before like 1980, because they've done a lot of things that are really fucky for the past 40 years with the Bible. But when you go back and read it, you see that he is arrested. It does not tell you that he's arrested by Roman soldiers. He gets arrested. That night, he's taken to 2 different homes. The owners of those homes were both Jews. This implies he was actually arrested by Jews. A lot of people don't know this historically. The Romans allowed the Jews to have their own clique of police. So they possibly arrested him. When you go back, you have the Jews insisting on the Romans that are in charge, this needs to be done to him. You have to do this to him. You have to do that to him. So because of the Jews going nuts, they begin to torture him or whatever it is. The Romans weren't all into it, so it's very, very possible. Maybe they smacked him around a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe they took that lace and maybe hit him just once, you know, and then it wasn't enough for the Jews. No. You gotta crucify him now. No, now he needs to be crucified. This isn't enough. I'm just saying, because from what I've read, the Romans weren't really into it. They weren't. As a matter of fact, unless I'm wrong, Caesar actually liked Jesus. So you're probably hitting on something that's probably correct.
Who wouldn't like Jesus? He was a rough and ready guy.
Even the Muslims loved him. He is a beloved figure in the Quran. Even they love him.
Let me put it in layman's terms. He was a carpenter, so you know he could carry his own weight. I'm sure if it came to fist of carpenters, even the little scrappy ones, are usually pretty tough guys. And he drank with fishermen, who are generally pretty tough in their own right. And he banged prostitutes. Mary Magdalene was a fucking prostitute. So you're drinking wine with carpenters, fishermen, and banging hookers. You got to be a good guy.
This always reminds me of my dad, and because of my dad, I met an old biker by the name of Fish. Of all people, his name was Fish. Fish, he's been to prison, everything. He's been locked up in an insane asylum. He told me this story of when he was younger, years ago. He gets locked up in this institution. And he gets interviewed by the main physician, the doctor, whoever it is, the main psychiatrist. He interviews him as soon as he gets there. And he says, I'm reading here. It says here that you're a Satanist. You worship Satan. Is that true? He says, yes, I do. He goes, well, I'm going to need you, if you could, to stay away from this section of the hospital. And he says, why? He says, because we have a patient that's convinced that he's Jesus Christ. So Fish, the way he describes to me, the end of this story is he and Jesus broke out of this insane asylum, and the last time he saw Jesus, he was in a stolen pickup truck with a hooker. God bless Fish. God bless you, Fish.
Father's Sunday school.
There you go.
Drink wine with fishermen and bang hookers.
Oh, the good old days. Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
I have a problem with the term.
What's that term?
Satanism. I have a problem with Satanism or sadists, or what do you call them? Satanic people, or
yeah.
Here's my angle. Satan is basically a pussy. You can be a pussy too and worship Satan and become a loser. Or you can be like the bedroom bully and you can bully Satan like we're going to do at 66 minutes after 5 o'clock. And we're going to steal power from Satan, and we're going to do with that power what we want. Now, we might not all do good, kind things. Some of us might go bully Johnny Bravo. Some of us might go bully Vince Goodrum. Some of us might, enter into other shenanigans. We're still doing Satan's work, but we're not Satanists. We're actually winning. We're playing to win the game. See where I went with that? Satan is a fool. Satan is a fool. Satan is weak. We can play his game, and we can pretend to be his friend for 5 minutes. We can steal a little bit of power, and we can play with it, but that doesn't make us bad people. Like, I consider myself a Christian, a pretty lousy one. Like, I don't go to services or anything. But I still go to the dark side. I mean, I am Father, the root of all evil. Like, we used to get fucked up in Michigan at deer camp and stare at the fire and say, "Father, come forth from the fire." Listen to the Clutch's first album. But yeah, deep down inside, I'm not a bad person. But I don't mind every once in a while going to the dark side for a little clout and then using it for a good purpose.
Well, Lucifer did get the second place trophy when Michael kicked his ass, so yeah.
I don't know that story.
The way the story goes, as far as the war in heaven, it started after God created human. He created man, and he asked his sons, he asked the angels to love them as much as they love him, and some of them had a problem with it, especially Lucifer, and Lucifer was supposed to be his favorite son. And he had a huge problem with it, and the war started, especially when Lucifer comes out and he says, "I am like unto God." Michael comes out and says, "Who is this that says he is like unto God?" Michael kicked him out. He beat his ass and kicked him out.
I didn't know that.
If it was Gabriel, he would have killed him. That's why God didn't send Gabriel.
Right. That's why you and I get along, because my middle name is Michael and you're Gabriel. All the shit I don't have a stomach for, I let you clean up.
Sakaro.
And while we're on the topic of archangels, I just had this conversation with someone I think of maybe within a week or so, maybe 2 weeks, and I was explaining to him that I'm not a very religious person at all, but I have had a few life experiences where I'm almost positive an archangel stepped in and protected me and made sure I got out of there alive. Look at me, I'm 55, I'm still standing, and as far as I can see, I don't have any major scarring on my face, but supposedly everybody hates me. Come at me, bro. Come at me. We're all these people that supposedly hate Jay Masters. Look at this pretty mug. You obviously haven't gotten to me, bro. Who's been protecting me?
Jay, do you ever, every once in a while, do you ever hear a ringing in your ear?
Yeah, I have tinnitus for sure.
You know, ever since I was a little kid, and I don't know if other Hispanics believe this or not, but when I was growing up as a kid, you were always told if you hear a ringing in your ear, that means that someone's talking about you. In the past few years, with books that I've read and podcasts that I've watched or either listened to, especially when you listen to Dr. Father Malachi Martin, I'm convinced now any ringing you hear in your ear, it's an angel nearby speaking. They may not be speaking to you, but there's an angel nearby speaking. I'm convinced of that now. That's just me. I'll stand on an island alone with that, but I honestly believe that.
Yeah, it's a miracle that I'm still alive.
It wasn't a demon that pulled you out of that. Whatever pulled you out of that is above a demon's pay grade. That was an angel. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to.
You know, just last night I was hanging out with my good buddy Paul. You know, shit. Paul was a disciple, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't want to speak for him.
Can't hear you.
I said I don't want to speak for him.
No, I was just making a joke that Paul was a disciple.
Oh,
wasn't the disciple Paul
from the Bible that was in Paul from the Bible that was in prison? Okay.
Wasn't Paul kind of a cocksucker?
I don't know that. I know that when he was in prison, he was converting a lot of people, guards and everyone. And there was a part of him that, and it's the way I describe one or two other people. Saint Paul or whatever, he was practicing all this, and it's not necessarily that he didn't believe it, but every once in a while he would kind of contradict himself. It's all there, but as far as him being a cocksucker or whatever, I don't know.
I don't mean a faggot. He was just an asshole Jew.
An asshole, yeah.
But anyway, back to my story. My buddy Paul, you know, I've been hanging out with this guy for, well, come May, it'll be about a year we've been friends. And you know, I'm not a big bragger about my past. And I realized he didn't know the story behind the scars on my knees. And I said, you've never seen the video of me crashing that 600, have you? He's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I knew you hurt yourself. So I found the video on the internet, and I showed him the video of me crashing 600. And he knew I was strong, but he had no idea that I was the kind of guy that would walk out in a squat rack with 600 pounds on my back. And he watched that thing once, and he turned the phone upside down, and he pushed it back at me, and he's like, dude, you're an animal. I don't know
crazy thing
a lot
about
of the maniac.
I'm sorry, but no, the crazy thing about that, when you watch that video, it didn't happen on the way down. You're on your way down, and then you're on your way up. That's when it happens. That's kind of, usually when someone has that kind of weight on their back and they're going, that's when shit happens. You were already on your way up. That's the crazy part.
A lot of the maniacs don't know this, but remember when I was rehabbing and I said, I just want to be happy with a set of 225 for 10, and I'm never going to go above 225. I've been 55 for about a month. The week that I turned 55, leg day that week, I put 315 on my back, and I did 12 reps with 315. And, I know that's no world record, but even if you take out the quad tendon reattachment surgery, for a guy that's 55 years old, how many guys my age are doing 315 for 12? So I'm pretty proud of that.
There's very few men in their 20s that can do 3 plates for reps. So
yeah,
that is huge, man. That's huge, man. That from where you started to where you're at now, that's a miracle in itself, and that's a testament to you, to your commitment, your food, your rest, the training. That is a testament to you and your knowledge. No one else did that. You did that. So
yeah, I'm really proud of being 55 years old and being able to squat 3 plates on each side for 12 reps. Now my bench, I don't even want to talk about. My bench is really embarrassing.
well, you can only do 4 plates.
Oh God, I wish. There's something strange going on with my bench. Remember a year ago at my birthday when I was training with that little short guy from Jupiter or Stewart that drove the Jeep?
Yeah.
We were training together at Powerhouse, the one that Tim opened up. And after my pec injury, I had gotten back to doing 3 plates on each side, 315 for 7. I got back up to 315 for 7. And man, I couldn't come anywhere near that today. So a year later, I don't know. I just think when you get old, eventually your body says you're all done benching heavy. I don't know what it is. Father Time has pounced on my back.
Yeah, I got, as far as like, I got nothing as far as like lifting weights of what it could be. It could be, yeah, time catching up with you, catches up to everybody. But I'm gonna claim, I know that I'm better off claiming ignorance of what's actually going on. There's probably someone out there more educated, much more smarter than I am, been lifting weights for who knows how long, that probably actually has an answer to that. I don't. Me being an idiot, the only thing I could equate it to is, yes, age. That's the easy question. I mean, that's the easy answer. It has to do with age. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you're eating, no matter how much rest you're getting, the compounds you're taking, sooner or later, shit just catches up to you. Look at Lenny.
Speaking of compounds, I'm pretty much an open book. I've been doing 300 milligrams a week of testosterone cypionate, which is basically TRT, except I'm just a little heavy-handed. Most doctor prescribed TRT is going to be 200 milligrams, maybe 250 if you're lucky. But because I'm doing my own TRT, I just do a full CC, and I have some 300 milligram per ml testosterone cypionate. So I just do a full CC or an ml for our Canadian friends. So I'm doing like 300 a week of testosterone, which is just literally nothing, So.
Are you with how you feel where you're at with your bench right now, are you tempted to do other compounds that would increase your strength, things like tren or is Winstraw the other one?
No, Windsor would be the wrong way to go. But to answer your question, absolutely not. At 55 years old, I am so sensitive to even my little puny TRT shot that 24 hours later, after my testosterone injection, I have like nervousness and anxiety. I become hypersensitive to it. So no. Absolutely
Well,
not.
If Dave Palumbo were here, if Dave Palumbo were here, he would tell you, Jay, that you need to have blood work done. You need to go see Brad's doctor.
Well, I give a double red cell donation. If the fans don't know what that is, it's different than giving whole blood. They actually spin your blood, and then they give you back your plasma, and they keep the red blood cells. I do that religiously as soon as I'm eligible. And I'm registered with the company that I donate with, so I go in as soon as I'm eligible. So I got blood work. If I had cancer or HIV, I'd know about it. I don't give a fuck about anything except cancer or HIV. What else is going to hurt me?
You know, Jay, you're going to love this. Late last night, when I came home, my daughter was here, my 19-year-old daughter with her boyfriend, a few friends of theirs. They were just getting done. They were leaving. But they of all subjects, they started talking about, and you had touched on this a few years ago, and I played it for them, and they couldn't believe what they were hearing. They were talking about Queen. They were talking about Freddie Mercury. And I said to them, you guys got to see this. So I look up the live where you were talking about giving plasma and how the plasma, the first people that you usually have dibs on that are people that are cancer patients. Some of them are AIDS patients. And then you started getting into Freddie Mercury's performance at Live Aid. And all the kids watching this, they planned, or it was an experiment. There were men, gay men, or people that had AIDS that they were giving, God, what's the compound? Anadrol. And you talked about going to that meet, that power meet in Boynton, and you did your bench, and you were on Anadrol. You're like, I only did 150, and I felt like shit. So they were giving AIDS patients back then 200. So you're already dying of AIDS. You already feel like shit. You're giving Anadrol. You probably feel like fucking Superman. And that's what he was like on stage that day. It was like he was fucking Superman. And that whole thing, you could feel the strength that he had when he goes through that whole routine playing with the crowd. No. And, and he's asking them to sing with him and everything. God damn. Where did he get it from? It all makes sense now. Every one of these kids left here, they were like, damn. And now, when they left here, they were all saying, no, we're gonna go home and we're gonna watch that Live Aid performance. Father, there you go. Even to this day, you're helping and opening eyes of young men and young women. I was fucking proud to show it up. You guys got to see this shit.
I I like Freddie Mercury.
Freddie
Yeah.
Mercury, he's my favorite homosexual, best mustache ever.
Dude, when I went and saw the Queen movie, that came out about 4 or 5 years ago? Wasn't that
About 4 years
about
ago,
4
yeah.
or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
We're in a crowded theater, and that scene in the studio when the guy at the mixing board reaches over and tongue kisses him out of nowhere, I let out like a deep gasp, like a massive inhale. Like it was I'm 305 pounds. It was loud. And no one else in the entire fucking theater had a reaction. So the place was dead silent. So everybody in that entire crowded theater heard one person have a massive reaction. Ridiculous. You know, Vince Goodrum wants to claim he's an alpha male. You be in a packed theater and be the only one gasping, and everybody knows it's you. I don't give a fuck. What are you going to do? You going to punch me? I still got the pretty face. Something scared you from punching me. What was it?
Oh, God.
What has scared these people that run their mouth all these years from punching me and leaving something to remind me that they punched me? Something scared them off. They all seem to get mouthy.
Everyone's willing to write out checks, but they don't want to cash them.
Well,
that's all.
Anybody can break somebody's nose. Anybody can break somebody's nose. I was just talking about that the other day at lunch with Prince Andrew. You know, Ronda Rousey could break my fucking nose if she got the first punch.
Just with an elbow. Just with an elbow.
Right. Ronda Rousey could kick my ass if she got the first punch. We were talking about that.
That's the thing about when you're out and about and you're out in public and you're out in the open and someone jumps you or wants to throw a punch, wants to get in a fight. What I've noticed about fights that take place in public, it's all about who gets, how can I put this? Not the first punch, but who has the momentum is what I've noticed. And usually the person that just comes out of nowhere and tries to jump the other person, they usually gain the advantage unless the other person has been trained and they know how to take a punch and they know they've been in that situation before where they've been jumped and they know how to handle themselves. But I've noticed that in public, it's usually the person, not so much the one that had the initiative, but whoever gets the momentum. Because shit in the street, it happens very quickly. There's no one there to stop anything. It ends very quickly. It doesn't go 5-10 minutes. It's quick. Something tells me that when you were born, God favored you in some way. So yeah, everyone that wanted to, write out checks and everything, and they never cashed them. Yeah, I don't think anyone's
You
going to
know,
jump you anytime soon.
I have a personal friend who was a Marine Corps boxing champion, and I've actually gotten 3 short little lessons very recently. You're supposed to say something.
Well, I'm just wondering what was okay. My first question would be, what was the first thing that he said to you or taught you? And we'll just stay at that.
He looked at my physique, and we really didn't train that day. He basically reminded me about the Mike Tyson technique, where you squat to the ground and come up with that massive uppercut.
Mike Tyson, he had this, god damn, man, and I don't, even to this day, I don't see boxers doing it. When he would do that thing and go down, it wasn't just the uppercut. It would happen so fast. He would hit the guy in the gut, hit him in the gut, and the same fist would come up, boom, out. And that was your best case scenario. That would be your best case scenario, where the fight would just happen quickly and he wouldn't fucking pound you to go to the fucking hospital.
Yeah. Our most recent lesson we did in the pool in about waist deep water, and he grabbed a fucking simple pool toy, a ring, and he put it around my wrists, and he had me doing basically Karate Kid, wax on, wax off shit. But my ring, my wrists were tied together with a ring. Simple pool ring that children play with. And he was, even though my hands were tied, he was throwing phantom punches at me. He was like, you see, you got to be prepared to throw after doing that block.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy. I asked him, the Marine K-bar knife is infamous. Everybody knows the K-bar, Marine Corps knife. Maybe you don't. I don't want to embarrass you.
No,
but.
I do. That thing is, that's for close encounters.
So I was asking him. I said, did you guys train with a rubber K-bar? He's like, fuck no.
Nope. I know they train with real knives. I've had plenty of them tell me. No way.
Yeah, he was
they're training. They're training with a real blade, so that, number one, they're taught respect for the blade, and they're training that the person that they're training with, they can legitimately harm them, or the person that they're training with can legitimately harm themselves. No. A fake knife. How are they going to learn respect for it? Hell no.
Yeah, I got some great information for anybody that lives in Florida that might have somebody from a different state that might want to come down and confront them somewhere. Florida obviously doesn't have a concealed weapons law anymore. So technically, brass knuckles are considered a concealed weapon. So they would have to be treated exactly like a handgun. So technically, now that we can walk around with a pistol in our pocket, you can walk around with brass knuckles in your pocket. In the old days, you used to need a permit to carry brass knuckles. Now, here's my take on that. On the internet, you can get a polymer set of brass knuckles that aren't even considered brass knuckles. So some asshole from a different state travels on an airplane. You know, all his shit has been through fucking security. And he thinks he's going to confront you in your home state of Florida? Fuck you, motherfucker. Use that information the way you want. But I'm thinking about buying a set of polymer.
No, you consider buying a set of polymer knuckles. No, I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Your audio blinked out for a minute.
I said that forgive me for interrupting. You're going to purchase polymer knuckles.
Absolutely. Because they're not even considered brass knuckles.
Ever since the laws changed, ever since the laws changed here in Florida, one of my dad's knives, when I wear pants, I've been carrying it around my fucking ankle. I got one of my dad's knives around my fucking ankle when I'm wearing long pants. I don't have a federal record. And the only thing I have to worry about is to make sure that if I'm carrying that around with me, I am sober in public.
Well,
that's all I got to worry about.
Polymer knuckles are not even considered brass knuckles in court. There's a legal distinction.
You know, Jay, that reminds me, there was a case years ago, and I forgot what state it took place in. Someone may be able to Google this. This was an interesting case. So I don't know if the case involved that this guy caught his wife cheating or something, but he had a gun. And he either shot his wife or the guy that was sleeping with her. When the case got into court, he could not be charged with murder as far as with a deadly weapon. He could only be charged with murder. They had to throw out the deadly weapon part because the gun that he used was considered an antique. It wasn't considered a weapon. I forgot how old the fucking gun was and what kind of fucking gun it was. That was one of the most interesting murder cases I had ever seen, where they could try him for murder, but they could not. They had to throw out the deadly weapon thing because it was an antique. I'm wondering if I should get an antique gun. Something from fucking
I have a story that backs it up.
What's that?
I have a story that backs that up 100%.
Go ahead, please. I'll shut the fuck up.
My buddy back in Michigan, his daughter, who graduated high school last spring, so I guess she would be a freshman in college. Last summer, she wanted to go to some fucking ICP, Insane Clown Posse Festival in Ohio. You know, he's a Michigan guy. And he gave his daughter this antique gun like you're talking about for her to take to the ICP festival because she's under 21, and in Michigan it's not legal to have a handgun under 21. But because this pistol is an antique, it's legal for her to have. So he gave his 18-year-old daughter this antique pistol to take to the ICP festival.
Oh shit! What time is it? Oh shit! We got to cut it off. Jay, we got to cut this off. It's
I'm having a good time.
6:05. It's 6:05.
No,
we got to cut this off.
Satan
6:06.
will wait.
6:06, man. You know what to do. Love you, Jay.
No.
Or do we do it now? We do it now?
Don't cut it off.
Hold on. Then we're going to play it.
Yeah, that's a better idea.
We'll
Satan
start out.
On me. Satan waits on me. I'm the Father. I'm the root of all evil. Any of you that have private property that can build a fire, man, I wish I was with you right now. We used to have good fires in Michigan. Are you going to be able to crank it so the fans can hear the lyrics? There it is.
But in time, the nation grew weak, and our city fell to slums while evil stood strong. In the dust of hell, the blackest of fates, for evil and fear await you. Now, many lifetimes later, lay destroyed, beaten down, only the corpses of rebels, ashes of dreams and blood-stained streets. It had been written that those who have the youth have the future. So come on now, children of the beast, be strong and shout at the devil.
After you work out, you can feel worn out. But
fucking Spotify.
You gotta love capitalism. They fucked that up.
But that's very important. Everyone needs to listen to that first part and then go to shout at the devil. The same thing would happen on fucking YouTube.
Never listen to Shout at the Devil cold. Someone had a very interesting comment on here. Why do you think about Satan? Because I'm a fucking bully. I'm not afraid of fucking anybody. Why do I think about Satan? Because I bully people and I use them. What the fuck?
Oh. These cocksuckers have to run the same thing would have happened on fucking YouTube. We would have started out with that song, and then it would have gone to a fucking commercial. Capitalism. They got to sell the latest in hair care, ED, pills, fabric softener, the latest pet website.
there's nothing wrong with thinking about Satan. If you're one of those fucking pussy-ass people that is afraid, just cowers in fear, you're the type of people that Satan is going to prey on.
Yes, I love you. I can make you beautiful. I can make you powerful. You don't have to do anything. Yeah.
You remember the movie Seven with Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt?
What I have done will be analyzed, dissected, reviewed, talked about. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. What's in the box? Oh, yes. That is a great fucking movie. And I remember in the past when I told my kids, I said, okay, if you're going to sit down and you're going to watch Silence of the Lambs, after you watch Silence of the Lambs, this is one of the movies. If you can stomach Silence of the Lambs, this is one of the movies you need to watch now. You need to watch Seven. It's a great movie.
You know,
dude, when
the victims.
No, go ahead.
Of all the victims in the movie Seven, you know which one I hated the most?
Was it the dude that they found alive after some whore got fucked with some type of instrument and he's just like, oh, like that? Are you talking about that dude? Okay, you're talking about someone else. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The fucking beauty queen that he gave her the choice. I'm going to cut your face or I'm going to kill you.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
What sin is that?
Vanity.
I have no problem with a woman with a scar on her face. But I'm a different kind of cat. You know, if I met a chick who I could take to the gun range and she could outshoot me with her AR-15, and then we could go back to the house and she could grill a burger better than me, and maybe when she was a kid she got bit by a dog and had a bad scar on her face, I'm marrying the fuck out of her.
I was just going to say, you're marrying her. I was just going to say, you're marrying her tomorrow.
Right.
I gotta pull out a suit out of the fucking closet.
Those are two things that get my dick hard. A chick that can outshoot me at the range, and then a chick that'll kick me off the grill because she can do better.
It's like my wife.
It's
like my wife can out. It's like my wife. My wife can out.
Want a woman.
Yeah, go ahead. No, who the fuck doesn't want?
You get an alpha female that'll come up to the barbecue grill and grab your tongs or your spatula or whatever and say, "Get the fuck out of here." That's the kind of woman you want to marry.
Megatron, father is Clint Eastwood wanting a free one. Oh, God. That's still a great, that is a beautiful scene in that movie. I can really say that as a man. I say this as a man that is married, okay? Because Clint Eastwood, the character in that movie, he was married. William Money. He was married. His wife had died, but, you know, she's somewhat still with him. And then when he's having that conversation with the prostitute, and this is the brilliance of Clint Eastwood and his acting. Sometimes his acting is subtle, but that's all you need. And you can tell by his reaction, he's like taken back. And it's like, but, you know, his wife is still with him, he goes, listen, my wife, this and that, but if I ever wanted a free one, it would definitely be with you, you know? And the girl with her face all fucked up and everything, there was still something about her. She was still beautiful. She was. There was just something there about her. He could see it. That's some real shit.
Right. A chick that's been bit on the face by a dog when she was a little girl is a good catch. You know, back to Clint Eastwood.
Okay.
Back to Clint Eastwood. Everyone remembers Father's Mount Rushmore. Clint Eastwood, Mel Gibson, Paul Newman, and what's his name? From the Towering
You got
Inferno.
Mel Gibson, Paul Newman. You got Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen, there you go. But we were talking about Mel Gibson. Or no, we were talking about Clint Eastwood. My mom, I shouldn't share anything personal about my mom with the trolls, but there's really no reason they can do anything with this. She graduated high school in '68, just so everyone has a time frame of how old she is. When she was growing up in the '60s, she had a poster of Clint in her bedroom.
Now, as far as, did she ever disclose what that poster was? Was it a poster of a movie? Was it a one of those photos that was taken as a promo? Was it a scene out of a movie?
No
Did
idea.
she ever disclose that?
I really don't know.
Huh.
It was probably a still shot from one of those spaghetti westerns. Who knows?
You know, it's crazy. I've seen his son lately in a couple of independent movies, a couple of B movies. Jesus Christ, Jay, his son looks just like him when he was in his fucking 20s and 30s. God damn. It's amazing. His son did a movie. I just forget the name of the movie. His son did a movie. It was an interesting movie. It was about a guy, and he was the main character. You'll love this. I'm going to send you the link, or, well, as far as what the movie's called and the premise and everything. But he did a movie a few years ago. It was an independent film where he plays a veteran. But he was one of these guys that was not only a veteran, he did some black ops stuff. And he doesn't have, I don't know if he does not have empathy or he does not have a conscience. He doesn't care about anybody or anything. And in this movie, his mother is very hard on him. She's criticizing him. He has a therapist, Jay, you're going to love this. The therapist, the psychologist in the movie is Mel Gibson. And the guy, the character that Clint Eastwood's son plays is so genuine to his issues. Mel Gibson's character, every time he's on the phone with him, he's taking a shot. He's like, oh, shit. He's calling, and he starts taking shots. And he's like, all right, well, you know, normal people, they normally react this way to this situation, everything. Let me tell you something. By the end of the movie, he's killed everybody. To save his mother and to save his sister-in-law. He fucking kills everybody. And his mother, which something clicks in his brain when his mother finally forgives him, tells him that she loves him and she's proud of him and everything. Something just clicks in him. And then he goes on another level. I'll send you the link to that movie, what the movie is called. But it's great just to see, because Mel Gibson is a great actor. And you see in these scenes, oh my God, the guy's calling again, and he's got to take another shot. Oh, fuck. I'll. There are people that may actually know that movie, but that's his son looks just like him, and to see that, it's like I get to relive a little bit of all the spaghetti westerns that I grew up and watching Clint Eastwood and The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, A Fistful of Dollars for a Few Dollars More, Hang 'em High. My favorite is High Plains Drifter. Holy shit. There's really something supernatural about that movie. A dude coming back from the dead. These people are so desperate for help. He tells them, well, you got to do this. I want you to get red paint and paint everything red. Wow. And, this comes full circle to what you were talking about as far as Satan. Not being a worshiper of Satan, but it seems like what you're trying to come across as just being a student and just staying there as a student. You study everything. You see everything for what it is. And you do your own thing. High Plains Drifter. And if any of you are a fan of Westerns, you never seen High Plains Drifter? Fuck. The beginning of the movie, a guy gets bullwhipped to death. To death.
Oh. I hate to keep bringing up my mom, but we were talking about my Mount Rushmore.
Yes.
Clint Eastwood, Mel Gibson is also on my Mount Rushmore. My mother, if you bring up Clint Eastwood, or not, I'm sorry, not Clint Eastwood, if you bring up Mel Gibson, she'll start to behave about 20 years younger. And if you were her husband, you might even smack her. She has a thing. She has a thing for these roughnecks that have blue eyes and long hair. Like the Clint, the Mel. Like, remember the mid-'80s Mel Gibson when he would wear skin-tight jeans, tight t-shirt, long hair.
Fucking Riggs
like
when he was playing Riggs when he was playing Riggs in the Lethal Weapon movies. That's when he was really accentuating that look: the tight jeans, boots, t-shirt, long dark hair, the blue eyes. Trust me, I know. To your mom, he is absolutely dreamy, just absolutely dreamy. I get it. Trust me, I get it because I have a mom. I get it.
Do you think maybe that has something to do with why I want to put a camper on a Chevy dually?
A camper on a dually? What's that? Repeat that?
Maybe that has something to do with my dream of wanting to live in a camper on a dually.
Yeah, because Mel Gibson was living on a beach in a trailer, and he had the it was a GMC dually that he had. Yeah, man. He looked like he was absolutely comfortable there. That's what it looked. He was absolutely comfortable. Wake up in the morning, you want to take a shower, just head on out into the water. He's got the dog. He's got everything he needs.
You know, he had the old school Chevy in the first one, and the movie was so successful that in the sequel, General Motors made sure he had a brand new dually.
Oh,
I think it was in the
that's
third
the one that No, go ahead. Go ahead. In the third one.
He pulled the house down in the third one. Remember the house on the beach?
Yeah, the fucking frame of the truck looked like it was just gonna rip off the fucking chassis. It looked like the fucking frame was gonna stay in place, and that whole fucking chassis, the engine and the transmission were just gonna fly the fuck off. The fucking truck's going wham, wham up in the air, just wham, and then all of a sudden, boom, down it goes. And you know, all those faithful out there, they watch that movie and they go, "That's right, baby, GMC."
Diplomatic.
Oh shit. Oh my God.
Didn't he have that little blonde girlfriend in that one?
Yeah, she was from South Africa.
Remember when those two were hanging out inside the camper? How ridiculously big the inside of the camper looked?
It was a different one. That means it was a different one, because the other one was small, and they were, when they would film, and when they were filming in the first film, they were doing camera angles from the inside out. Him walking out of it, it was a regular camper. The other one, it was different with how big it was, obviously. Absolutely.
It just wasn't realistic. If you watch, there's no camper built in the world that big.
Well, unless it's one of the $1 million ones that when you park it, all of a sudden one side of it expands. And a cop's salary is not going to get a $1 million fucking mobile home. Yeah.
It was still a slide-in.
And that's where the whole line comes from. Diplomatic immunity. Get out of here, Kaffa lover. Riggs, your Riggs.
We've covered 2 of the Mount Rushmore. You know, I lost that Mount Rushmore meme because I had that picture posted on my Bedroom Bully account. If any of the maniacs are listening, I need a new Mount Rushmore meme of Paul Newman. Help me out. Mel Gibson.
Hold on, relax. Because you had them in a certain order. So you got to think about Mount Rushmore. Well, when it comes to Mount Rushmore itself, when you're looking at it, the faces, they don't go necessarily in an order, but they do go necessarily in a status, which I believe the first face you see is George Washington. But
yes,
it really doesn't matter. So you got Mel Gibson
and Theodore Roosevelt would have never been Mount Rushmore, but he paid for the whole thing.
Mel Gibson, Paul Newman, Clint Eastwood, and Papa, affectionately called Papa because of one of the last movies that he did, Steve McQueen, The Hunter. If you guys haven't seen one of Steve McQueen's last movies, The Hunter, that movie is great. And everyone in that movie, in reference to father, everyone calls him Papa. People that are younger than him, people that are older than him, the blacks, the whites, everyone calls him Papa. You got to go back and watch that movie. Those of you who've never seen it, go back and watch Hunter with Steve McQueen. He was a bounty hunter in that movie.
The quintessential Steve McQueen is The Great Escape.
Wonderful movie. One of my favorite movies. You got Steve McQueen. You've got Charles Bronson. You've got I think, and unless I'm wrong, I think even James Garner is in that movie.
James Garner.
A couple of notable British actors, because remember when
Can I
the Nazis, when the
Can I say
Nazis
something?
were gathering, what's that?
Robert Shaw from Jaws.
Yes,
Captain.
yes, yes. You know who I am. You all know what I do for a living. Wonderful. That is a wonderful movie. And I mean, just even from the beginning to the end, like one of the scenes that really gets to me, because I'm claustrophobic in a way, when they're digging out the tunnel and something happens to one of the young guys and you see Charles Bronson just dive in there and go after him. It's like the character doesn't even think twice. He just dives in there and goes after him. And it's like, my God, man, these fucking white boys are badass, man. There's no fucking way you're going to get me. And that's where people don't understand as far as like a movie. You're seeing this kid in a tunnel, helping them dig it out. But what you're not understanding is how fucking dark it is in there and how cramped up you are. It's like a fucking nightmare. The guys that really did that shit, the guys that, the fucking Vietnam War, when they found those fucking underground tunnels. And that's where the term, unless I'm wrong, tunnel rat came from. It wasn't like guys were volunteering to do that, man. That scene, there's so many scenes in The Great Escape that I'm just like, fuck, man. I don't know if I'd be able to do that. I don't know if I'd be able to crawl in that fucking hole and dig out fucking dirt. Those were, if that shit, all that shit happened, those were extraordinary men. Extraordinary. God bless them. That's the thing, Jay. When I look back in history, all these great men that have died so that we can be where we're at right now, some of those men died and they did not have any offspring. Not all of them, but some of those men died and they did not have any offspring, and their genes, that thing in between their ears that you are not taught, you're just born with, it fucking died with them. You know, that's why anyone that has been in the armed forces, anyone that has ever seen combat and has survived, they have my respect. I don't give a fuck what's happened to them, what they're engaging with right now. I know the human condition and the process of what can happen to a human and what direction they can go in when they come into a crossroads. But yeah, The Great Escape is a wonderful movie. Wonderful. And notice how I'm saying that. There are probably those that are scratching your heads. Wait a minute. You're saying The Great Escape is a wonderful movie? Yes, it is. It is. Because it gives you some insight of the men that were around back then. Father, my phone is going dead, so I'm going to have to get off so we can save this live and preserve it. So happy Easter. I love you. And shout
Love
at
you
the
too,
devil.
bro. Yes.